What's up, guys? It's Radar here. There's been a bunch of Battlegrounds changes announced, so let's just jump into it, take a look, see the changes, and get my opinions on them. So first up, we have Kurtrus Ashfallen, which is a hero that has 3 passive abilities that upgrade over time. The first one is buy 3 minions in one turn and give them +2/+2, so kind of like Kael'thas, where you every third minion you buy gets +2/+2, except this is like a one-time effect where you're able to spend 9 gold in a turn. So the earliest you could do that is turn 7 for without having any tokens or anything, but you could also get that earlier on, like, say turn 5 if you had 2 tokens, like 2 elementals or something. And I think at that point in the game it would be pretty impactful, but I still think that this is a pretty weak hero. My argument for this basically is that a lot of the strongest heroes provide early tempo and value pretty much immediately. Think about stuff like Maiev or Jandis or the it's escaping me, Hook Tusk. All of those guys, they're giving you stuff right from the get-go. Rafam, people where it's like you're getting an edge both from the gold side of things and from the tempo side of things. You get an extra minion for 1 gold as Rafam. And this doesn't give you that at all. And it only gets kind of harder to get. And if anything, I think the best one is the middle one. Buy 4 minions in one turn to give your hand and board +2/+2, which again is still something that requires 12 gold to achieve, which is number one, not an amount of gold that you can have normally, although it's pretty easy to just sell a bunch of minions. But I just really don't think this is enough. I think this is a pretty bad ability, and the permanent buff of +2/+2 is just going to come too late. Like, that +2/+2 isn't enough. I think if it was something like +4/+4, I'd be a bit more into it, but I honestly don't think this is good. So I think this is like trash tier, to be honest. New minion, Archdruid Hamul. Battlecry, refresh Bob's Tavern with your most common minion type. That's very interesting. Really, really, really interesting, actually, in general. Gonna allow you to get a lot of triples, especially if you're playing something like Murlocs. I think this is pretty good. It's like a niche tech card, but in a lot of situations, there's a lot of, like, usually compositions rely on minions of multiple different tiers. Like, if you think about the pirate composition, you have things like salty looters and gold grubbers and all this kind of stuff, and they're all different tiers. So you're happy to get just a bunch of pirates. Or if you're running beasts, you're looking for cave hydras and mama bears and all this stuff. There's just a lot of comps where this is going to be good. I think this is the kind of card that, like, generally speaking, it's probably worth picking up. However, it is still 3 gold, so it's, instead of a single gold refresh, it's 3. But I think the fact that it very likely allows you to get triples, it would be interesting to see, like, a breakdown of how many minions there are in each tribe. But like something like Murlocs is a really good example, where there's going to be a ton of one drops, 2 drops, 3 drops that you already want. So I think it seems pretty good. In terms of returning and removed heroes, Lich King has returned to the Battlegrounds hero pool, which is cool. Shutterwalk has been temporarily removed. Excuse me. Shutterwalk sucks, so that makes a lot of sense. Galakrond is back. Originally, when this was buffed, and it was very, very strong, by the way, when it was like this, it was a 0 gold hero power. Generally, 0 gold hero powers are pretty good, with the exception of Malagos. And you would replace a minion in Bob's Tavern with a minion from a higher tavern tier. So you kind of would, like, force a 6 drop or just get, like, early stuff through having the ability to constantly boost a tier up. Now it's 1 gold, choose a minion in Bob's Tavern, discover a higher tier minion to replace this. I think the ability to now discover it is a pretty big deal. It makes me think a bit about Toki, because Toki's like refresh the board and you get 1 minion from higher tier, except now you get to discover a minion from higher tier rather than get it randomly. So it just seems like a better Toki, and Toki is okay, but this is quite a bit better. So I still think this is kind of like mid-high tier, but I actually think this is viable. It's very solid. It's not going to be OP, but it seems solid to me. Trade Prince Gallywix is also coming back. It used to be for 1 gold, you could basically bank the gold. You'd spend it, but you'd get it next turn. Now, after you sell a minion, get 1 extra gold next turn, and it can exceed 10, which is insane. So you'd have a huge hand full of stuff. Yeah, like, this seems good to me. I'm trying to imagine, like, how they do this. I assume it doesn't come to your hand. It's just your gold value goes all the way up, which is good because for things like blood gems, that kind of stuff, you don't have a lot of hand space. This is pretty good. I think it'll give you a ton of gold economy. Really early on, you can do things like on turn 3, sell a Elemental, buy 2 minions, and then the next turn you get 1 extra gold, which would mean you'd have 7 gold instead. it'll just curve out in weird ways that end up benefiting you. And there are a couple minions in the game that also you kind of want to sell, like tokens, that kind of thing. So I bet there are curves where like having this hero buying an alley cat or something, buying 2 alley cats for 3 gold, but knowing you're going to get not only 2 gold back from the tokens that turn, but another 2 gold to maybe power level the next turn. I think it sounds pretty good. Hard to imagine exactly how it plays out with the curves, but it'll allow for some interesting play. And I think cheating gold in general is pretty good. Maiev Shadow Song has been nerfed. By far the strongest hero right now. Now make a minion in Bob's Tavern dormant. It used to be after 2 turns you get one with +1 attack. Now it's after 3 turns get one with +1/+1. It's a lot worse, like a lot worse. Still cool to be able to get 1 minion for 1 gold. But I think the delay of a turn is going to make it so that like you lose so many early fights that it's probably not going to be strong enough. I think this is going to drop way down. Like just imagine Reform basically where you do the Reform curve and on the second turn you're not like stronger than normal. You're actually like still pretty weak, and then you just never have that early game strength, which you kind of like you want because you're sacrificing leveling early to get some early game strength and then have it even out when you're on 7 gold and you can level and then buy one. So it just sounds like it's going to be way worse, but it was a bit too powerful. So I think it might be better with like +2/+1. That might be more valuable. Speaking of +2/+1, Edwin used to be for every minion you buy, you get +1/+1 for a 1 gold hero power. That was way too weak. He was pretty terrible. He used to be good a long time ago, but terrible now. They've changed that to give minion +2/+1. I'm not sure this would. I know this was not going to bring him towards like being a top tier thing, but I think it will make him quite a bit better. You can use it on things like Hydras, who really benefit from attack buffs, Divine Shield minions. I think it's probably good enough to be in that kind of mid-tier hero, whereas before he was like really low tier. The most insane one is Dino Tamer Brann, Battle Brand, old, cost 1, refresh Bob's Tavern with Battlecry minions. This was one of the worst heroes in the game, if not the worst hero. Now, after you buy 5 Battlecry minions, add Brann to your hand once per game. Brann is like one of the best cards in the entire game. It's one of the most flexible win conditions. All you need to do is buy 5 Battlecry minions. Token generators are some of the single best tier 1 minions. This seems absurdly good. You buy a Murloc on turn 1, you get a 2/1 and a 1/1. You sell it, you buy. I'm trying to think of the Battlecry things like other token generators, Murlocs, the 2/3. Already, you could very realistically buy a Murloc on turn 1, level on turn 2, buy 2 more, whether they're Murlocs or other Battlecries like the Mug, that kind of stuff. Have 3, and get this up at around like turn, like while you're still on tier 3 or tier 4, and then you could stay on tier 4, get Menagerie, and just go wild. You already want to be playing Battlecries if you're going Menagerie. I think this is way too strong, actually. I think this just seems really good. Illidan, another like terrible hero. Like these 2 heroes I would say are unplayable, especially this guy, because he's just like, he has nothing going for him. So it used to be your left and right most minions attack immediately. It was really only useful in a way if you had like 2 really good Hydras, or like you were going beasts or something, and beasts were already kind of weak. Now your left and right most minions gain +2 attack and attack immediately. So they're trying to kind of offset his weaknesses by making him have more early game tempo. Still seems pretty bad to me. I don't know. I don't think that's going to be that good, but it'll make him win fights early, which is nice. So that'll give you some momentum early. I think it'll go from being completely unplayable to now like not too bad, but not good. Tindragosa used to be at the end of your turn, frozen minions get +2/+1. Now it's new, costs 0. Freeze a minion in Bob's Tavern. Frozen minions get +2/+1 every turn. Okay, so you only get to freeze one thing. But wait, what? I'm confused here. So does the minion stay for like you get to select the minion, but that doesn't mean you can like roll past it, does it? I think if you're able to roll past it, it's kind of useful. But this seems like a nerf almost. Am I confused here? Let me know in the comments what I'm missing here, because this just seems like, it's not like freezing cost you stuff before. So now like the only synergy I see this working with is the one that the elemental, the 4/4 stasis elemental, I think it's called, that gives you frozen minions in the tavern. So that's a really strange change. Like I don't I don't understand it totally. Guff Rune Totem, very, very strong new hero. Used to be give a friendly minion of each tavern tier +2/+1. Now it's +1/+1. I think that'll scale it back quite a bit. It'll probably still be pretty strong, but definitely a lot weaker. For the Horde, give +1 attack to the next minion you buy this turn. Now it's give +2 attack to the next minion you buy. This is going to be very good. I already thought this hero was kind of underrated. I think that's going to be quite influential for, divine shields and stuff. You're going to be able to get hydras that just have absurd attack. Like, this is literally getting twice as good, right? So I think this is going to become very, very viable. Nazoth, start the game with the 1/1 fish. Now you start with the 2/2 fish. Actually matters a lot. You're going to be able to have a lot earlier wins when you already had a pretty tempo-based hero, and you can't play around it with a 1/3. The guy that kills everything, the unstable ghoul. So now you can play around unstable ghoul, which is actually huge. That's a really easy way to just completely remove the viability of the fish. So that's going to make a big difference. Curator, now you start with a 2/2 amalgam. They just keep buffing this guy to make it more and more viable. 2/2 is definitely pretty good. Curator still, I don't think, going to be enough. But it's definitely going to be a lot better. King Mukla, big banana rate increased to 50%, up from 33. That's going to make that a lot better. Again, it's sort of hard to tell like the exact impact. I think, Mukla, a pretty bad hero, probably still pretty bad. Minion updates. Deflectobot goes from getting +1 attack to +2 attack. It was already pretty strong, so I guess this is just to try to make mechs viable further into late game, but I already think they're viable in certain metas. I don't really feel like that was a necessary change, but like, yeah, this is the exact same. It's just +2 attack, right? Okay, so seems very good to me. Turning Gar into an 8/8 to start makes a lot of sense. Gar is still pretty bad. I don't think changing the attack to from 5 to 8 really made a big enough difference. I think this is a lot more viable, and I like that change. Freshing Anomaly making it a 1/4. Wow, that's really good. Now it's like a prime 1-drop, I would say. 1/3 was already like pretty decent. 1/4 is going to be very good. Big Fernal, you start as a 6/6. Again, making demons a little strong. Similarly, they're making Razor Gore strong. I thought Razor Gore was fine. I'm interested to see why they're changing that. Pack Leader getting another buff as well, +1 health. That makes it an even better drop. I would basically just pick this now. It's a 3/4. It's just solid. Mama Bear going to +5/+5. This is what it used to be, I think, when it was a 6-drop, if I recall correctly. It was a while ago. So that also is going to be good. These are all just getting way, way better. I think of these changes so far, this is going to be really big. This is going to be really big. This is going to be not that big, but it still will make me want to grab it. This is going to be pretty damn big, I would say. Like an early Mama Bear, it was always strong. Now it's like really, really strong. Soul Juggler is already good early game. So getting it to have +2 health, I don't think makes a huge difference. I don't really see where the +2 health is, like what that's going to play around in terms of a tech card. So I don't think this makes any difference really, other than like a mild buff. This is what this used to be. Nathrazim Overseer used to be a 2/4, and it was already pretty strong. And we all were thinking when they made that change that like, oh, I guess they're going to buff demons in a big way, but they didn't. So this is still a good card. It gets a lot better with an extra bit of health. Dark Moon prizes return in 25% of games. Wow. Again, I haven't looked through all this already. That is super, super interesting. Prizes were very fun. They did make it so that things were a bit too strong at times. Having it be sort of random, I'm not sure how I feel about that. They've clearly made some changes to the prizes themselves, so let's take a look at that. Most of them seem the same, but they've changed the Stormwind flag to be only 3 friendly minions. That's a huge change. Won't be nearly as oppressive. Give minions at Bob's Tavern +2 health for the rest of the game. What was it before? +1 health? So that would help a lot. Great deal for the rest of the game. Reduce the cost of upgrading Bob's Tavern by 3 at the end of the turn. This used to be just never one you'd want to pick. Now it's went from 2 gold to 3 gold. Not sure that's still worth it. I think I'd rather get something like Brand's Blessing on the house, etc. So this still is terrible to me. They're removing double a minion's attack to make the other, I guess just because double a minion's attack is pretty bad compared to Divine Shield, Ice Block, Bananas, etc. And then for the final prizes, they're keeping them the same. Yeah, so I didn't even, they were going to go and show me anyway. So yeah, +1 to +2. That seems like it's going to be a pretty big change. Overall, I don't mind this. And I think that's everything. These look like duels changes. So beyond that, I think they are also going to be releasing some cosmetic stuff. If I'm correct in this, I don't know if I see this though. I swear there was like some cosmetic changes to Battlegrounds where you could get certain heroes. At least that's what I heard, but I'm not seeing them. So maybe I'm messing that up. I'll check that in the comments. But uh, yeah, I think that overall the changes look good. Um, and even let me just look at the bugs too. Non-golden tough tusk with battle Wigglesworth would give the minion permanent divine shield. Interesting. We're tough to we're dynamic duo or loses stats after beating triples. That's interesting. Um, yeah, I've seen this one for sure. Fixing some key bugs. There's a lot of visual bugs they're not fixing. A little frustrating. There's been some that have been around for a long time. But overall, I think the changes are super cool. I'm really excited to play them. I'm most interested in probably Brann. I think he goes from being unplayable to one of the best heroes in the game. I'm almost positive that'll get nerfed, and looking forward to playing. If you want to see me streaming, I stream on twitch.tv/RadarSSBM. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.